listening. Pavlo, thanks very much for your talk.
Sure.
Very insightful. I'm just hoping to get a little bit of advice for a person I know in Cape Town. This gentleman is 58 years old, very talented, very right side of the brain, creative. He does branding for a couple of the wine labels. Now he's a one-man show, produces excellent work, but has never really expanded or got people to work with him in order to expand the business. And cash flow naturally is his biggest problem, because as he's a one-man show, he's always chasing the money, he's not spending his core time in growing the business. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple of adults out there who are in their 50s and have got a really great business with a great deal of innovation, but unable to break out of that comfort zone and expand their business, especially when it's so cash flow constrained.
Okay, talk about a hospital pass. Thank you for that. There's a guy down in Cape Town as well whose name is Ian Burgess Simpson. He had an equal talent, very right side, creative. He was a concert pianist. And he's been trying to figure out how to turn his concert piano playing, which isn't a very lucrative career, into a business. And over the last 30 odd years, he's built a business called Ian Burgess Simpson Pianos. He's one of the few Steinhoff accredited piano dealers in Africa. There's a make of piano, it's a Japanese make. It's not called Fukushima, it's called something very similar to Fukushima. He's one of 12 master piano artisans globally, trained at that school in Japan, where they hand build pianos from scratch. It takes about 2 years to build a piano. And he started a business. And very much in a similar vein, he has managed to create systems and processes and procedures and staffs and products and what have you. And today he's got a business that does around 8, 9, 10 million a year, and has got some really good legs behind it. So what did he do differently? Well, in the first instance, he went and he created two things. The first was a generic service around piano playing, in which he would offer to run certain events. In the early stages, he would do the events. In the later stages, he became a broker for staff that he employed to perform the events for him. So he was still earning the revenue from that activity, whereas before he was the activity. And that revenue allowed him to make savings to a certain degree, to secure certain technologies, which he now owns exclusively. So there's a brand of electronic pianos, which he bought in. He signed a master franchise agreement with a Japanese provider, and he sells those exclusively. So in effect, if you look at what he did, he looked at the most generic of the activities that he needs to perform as an artist in the piano world. He worked out a way to package it as a product. So it's a service that he converted into a product. And as he converted it into a product, he created a bit of a marketing story around it. He initially was the product, and then identified individuals to perform that activity for him. So even though it was a service, people, when they knock at his door, buy a particular product experience. And whether it's Ian who plays the piano or anyone else, most of us here would not be able to tell the difference between a well-trained amateur and a professional like Ian himself. When it comes to the big events, he as an individual, as a name, still performs those big events. But the smart thing that he did was take a service, construct it as a product, and identify how he could get someone to deliver it for him. And that was the early stage. It's an interesting point you raise, though, because I don't know if everyone knows about the oncoming crisis we've got in South Africa. And I would seriously recommend anyone who's got a plumbing problem or electrical problem to, within the next 5 years, to get it sorted. The average age of plumbing and electrical artisans in South Africa, professional trained artisans, is now 59. And what these guys did is they were taken through apprenticeship school, typically in the UK, in Italy, in the Netherlands. They came out in the 60s where opportunities were huge for them because of job reservation and a booming mining industry. They were real technicians. They built businesses, they supplied services, and they made one fundamental error. With the money they made, they educated their kids. And their kids, instead of staying in the plumbing business and electricity business, moved into the professions. They became accountants. They've gone into the services industry. And there's this massive swathe of highly trained technical experts that today have got businesses that cannot be sold because they were never built that way, don't have the skills to build those businesses into saleable assets. And South Africa is about to lose in the next 5 to 6 years the skills of highly trained individuals. There's a swathe of bucky plumbers and bucky electricians who sit at the bottom of the pyramid. They cannot get access to these businesses because they can't raise funding to buy them. And even if they did, don't have the commercial skills to sustain these businesses. So 400-500 years ago, the blacksmith would hammer away. And with one eye, he's busy preparing the sword or whatever it is he was making. And with the other eye, he's looking for a sturdy woman. And when he eventually marries her, she needs to deliver a son, who at the age of 9 comes into the smith, and he transfers his skills onto them. And that's the way it worked. The idea of being technically proficient in anything you do is not enough. If you as a technician start a business, which is where most entrepreneurs begin, and you don't start it with the mindset of building that asset of value, you will find yourself at the age of 58, superbly proficient in creating wine labels, not having built anything around you. The only thing I do hope is by that stage, the money you've made, you've invested wisely. So he's got 5-6 years to get his act together and start applying at least some of the stories over here and hopefully leave with something.